That little jar on your bathroom shelf, the one you grabbed at Chemist Warehouse or Priceline because the packaging looked promising, might be quietly making things worse, not better, worse. The skin around your eyes is up to 10 times thinner than the rest of your face. It absorbs everything faster and deeper, and with far less protection against irritants than skin anywhere else on your body. Every ingredient in your eye cream, every synthetic fragrance compound, every petroleum derivative, every paraben is hitting that thin tissue directly and accumulating with every application. Independent dermatologists across Australia have been raising alarms about the gap between what eye creams promise and what they actually deliver. Today, we are ranking 10 eye creams sold right across Australia, from the absolute worst offender to one formulation that has genuinely earned its place on the nightstand. Stay until the end because the two safe ones might be sitting right next to the ones you need to be. Drop a comment with the brand on your shelf right now. Let us find out how many Australian eye creams have these. 10. Aldi Lacura Eye Cream. Let us start at the absolute bottom, which is exactly where Lacura belongs. You've seen it in those Aldi middle aisle special buys, priced at $5 or less. The packaging is clean and vaguely European looking, which is deliberate. But here's the problem, and it has nothing to do with the price tag. Aldi does not publish independent batch testing results for Lacura products in Australia. No third-party safety assessment is publicly available for the Australian market. The ACCC has broadly noted that transparency gaps in private label cosmetics are a systemic issue, and Lacura is a textbook case. The ingredient list tells a damning story before you even get to the items. Lacura eye cream contains synthetic fragrance. That is not one ingredient. It is a legally protected umbrella term for anywhere between 50 and 300 undisclosed chemical compounds. The International Fragrance Association registers over 3,000 individual fragrance ingredients in commercial use, and a significant portion are classified sensitizers, meaning repeated exposure triggers inflammatory responses. Applying synthetic fragrance to the periorbital area is something dermatologists describe as clinically indefensible. The skin there has almost no tolerance buffer. Irritation means chronic inflammation, accelerated puffiness, and thinning of tissue that is already naturally thin. Below the fragrance, Lacura relies on mineral oil, a petroleum byproduct that sits on the skin surface like cling film. It creates a temporary illusion of moisture without treating anything. It can worsen milia, those small white deposits that appear around the eyes with age, and it prevents genuinely active ingredients from reaching tissue that needs them. For $5, you are getting fragrance that irritates and petroleum that blocks. The entire bargain is Elvis, not yours. None. Pond's Rejuvenous Anti-Wrinkle Eye Cream. Pond's has been in Australian bathrooms for generations. The cream and pink branding, the quiet confidence of a name that has been on shelves since before your children were born. Familiarity is the most dangerous kind of trust in skincare because it stops you reading the label. Pick up a jar at Chemist Warehouse, Coles or Woolworths and flip it over. The first thing to flag is the parabens. Methylparaben and propylparaben appear in Pond's Rejuvenous formulation. The European Commission has restricted certain parabens in cosmetic products based on evidence of endocrine disruption. Multiple peer-reviewed studies have detected paraben metabolites in human tissue samples. Australia's TGA currently permits paraben use at concentrations European regulators restrict. That regulatory gap is real, and it falls on the consumer to navigate. You're applying a paraben-containing product to highly absorptive skin multiple times a day, every day, for years. Then there is the synthetic fragrance, which has no clinical justification in any periorbital product. Pond's adds it for sensory experience, creating an emotional association with efficacy that has nothing to do with what the cream is doing. The formulation relies heavily on petroleum, sitting on the skin surface and creating a temporary smoothing effect without treating anything. Here's the betrayal that cuts deepest. For cream claiming anti-wrinkle benefits to women who have trusted this brand for almost 3 or 4 decades, the active ingredient profile is essentially nothing. No retinol, no clinically validated peptides, no ceramides, no hyaluronic acid at meaningful concentrations. You are paying for parabens, fragrance, and petroleum in a jar that feels like a friend. 8. Garnier Skin Active. Clearly brighter eye cream. Garnier understands Australian retail. Bright packaging, accessible prices, prime end cap position at Chemist Warehouse, Priceline, Coles, and Woolworths. The Clearly Brighter line promises dark circle and puffiness reduction. Language that sounds close to medical, but operates entirely in the unregulated zone of cosmetic commerce. Let us talk about what is actually doing the brightening, because it is not treating the dark circles. Dark circles come from thin skin showing underlying blood vessels, pigmentation changes, fat pad shifting, and poor circulation. Garnier's optical brightness address none of these causes. They are light-reflecting particles that create a visual illusion at the moment of application. The second you wash your face, it washes away with the water, because nothing in the formulation changed your skin's underlying structure. That is not treatment, that is theatre. The fragrance problem is even more pressing. Garnier Skin Active Eye Cream contains synthetic fragrance, and independent review databases document a consistent pattern of consumer complaints involving eye stinging and excessive tearing immediately after application. That stinging is your body communicating clearly. The tissue is responding to an irritant. Repeated inflammatory signaling around the eye contributes directly to the puffiness and accelerated line formation the product claims to address. The product also contains PEG compounds, penetration enhancers derived from petroleum processing. In clinical contexts, penetration enhancers are used deliberately to help ingredients cross the skin barrier more efficiently. When those ingredients are synthetic fragrance compounds and sensitizers, enhanced penetration is not a feature. It is the mechanism of harm. 7. L'Oreal Paris Revitalift Laser Eye Cream. The word laser was engineered to create confidence. Walk into any Priceline or Chemist Warehouse in Australia and you will find this positioned at around $30 to $40, with imagery suggesting something clinical and precise. There is no laser technology in the jar. L'Oreal's use of the word means the cream is designed to act on the deeper skin layers where laser procedures operate. Claim architecture, ACCC, has examined in broader Australian advertising contexts. It remains technically legal because cosmetic claims operate under different evidentiary standards than therapeutic goods claims. The word laser is performing marketing work that the formulation cannot replicate. The key active prosolane is a proprietary L'Oreal ingredient with published research, substantially company funded. When independent cosmetic scientists review the unsponsored evidence, the effect sizes are considerably less impressive than what L'Oreal's own clinical summaries report. For Australian consumers paying $35 to $40, the quality of the underlying evidence is different from what the marketing implies, and they deserve to know it. The cream contains synthetic fragrance, which at this price point is simply inexcusable. Some Australian market formulations also contain titanium dioxide particles in forms that independent dermatologists have flagged as problematic for sensitized, peeled or cold tissue. The laser language is not giving you information about what the product does. It is giving you manufactured confidence in technology that does not exist in the jar. 6. St. Ives Collagen and Elastin Eye Cream. St. Ives has a complicated consumer protection history most Australian shoppers are unaware of. In the United States, a class action lawsuit was filed after independent dermatologists found that St. Ives products were causing skin damage rather than the improvement promised, specifically citing formulation integrity concerns. That context matters when you pick this up at Big W or Target Australia. The word collagen on the label is doing sophisticated deceptive work. When consumers see collagen in skincare, they reasonably interpret it to mean the product is delivering collagen to the skin, replenishing what age has reduced. That interpretation is biologically impossible topically. Collagen molecules are too large to penetrate the dermis when applied to the skin surface. They form a film. That film washes off. You are paying for a temporary surface effect, not a treatment. The elastin claim follows identical logic. Neither ingredient is penetrating. Neither is treating anything. Both are marketing terms dressed as active compounds. The formulation underneath relies on emollients, synthetic fragrance, and stabilizers, concentrations engineered for consumer sensory satisfaction rather than clinical outcome. For Australian shoppers at Big W, assuming collagen on the label means collagen reaching their skin. That is a completely reasonable assumption that the product's design actively cultivates without any scientific basis to support it. 5. Olay Regenerist Micro Sculpting Eye Cream. Olay invests heavily in presenting a scientific identity in Australia. Clinical language in advertising, dermatologist endorsements on packaging, before and after imagery at retail. The Regenerist Eye Cream sits at $25 to $30 at Woolworths, Coles, Chemist Warehouse and Priceline, positioned as serious science for real skin concerns. The core active is niacinamide, a form of vitamin B3 with a genuinely solid, peer-reviewed evidence base for improving skin texture and pigmentation. That is a legitimate ingredient at effective concentrations, and the evidence supports it. The problem is what arrives with it. Olay Regenerist Eye Cream contains synthetic fragrance, in a product whose entire marketing strategy rests on the language of science and presence of fragrance is a contradiction that does not resolve in the consumer's favour. Fragrance in eye cream is never clinically justified. It is there for sensory perception management. More significantly, Australian market formulations have contained methyl paraben, and independent researchers flagged discrepancies between Oil's stated ingredient philosophy and the actual listed components on locally purchased units. For a brand spending considerable budget on the rhetoric of science-backed transparency, the simultaneous presence of fragrance and parabens represents a gap between what is communicated and what is delivered into the product your face is actually pressing against every morning. 4. Neutrogena Rapid Wrinkle Repair Eye Cream. Neutrogena's dermatologist-recommended positioning in Australia carries real consumer weight, and the retinol content in Rapid Wrinkle Repair is real. Retinol has decades of peer-reviewed research demonstrating its ability to accelerate cell turnover, stimulate collagen production, and measurably reduce fine lines. Clinical heritage is not in dispute. What is in dispute is what has been formulated alongside it. Neutrogena Rapid Wrinkle Repair. Eye cream contains synthetic fragrance. Applying fragrance to the same tissue where you are simultaneously using retinol, an ingredient that by design increases skin sensitivity and strips back the surface barrier, creates a sensitization risk that compounds with every application. Australian contact dermatitis specialists have identified a consistent pattern of periorbital irritation reactions in patients using fragranced retinol products around the eye, and Neutrogena appears regularly in those clinical contexts. The product also uses phenoxyethanol as its primary preservative. The European Scientific Committee on Consumer Safety has specifically recommended caution for leave-on products applied near the eyes. Australian shoppers using this cream daily deserve to know that the retinol benefit they are purchasing arrives bundled with a fragrance sensitization risk and a preservative carrying a European safety annotation that the packaging does not disclose anywhere on the box or label. 3. Clinique All About Eyes. This one is more nuanced, and Clinique deserves credit where it is earned. The brand's entire identity is built on fragrance-free formulation, and the All About Eyes range is indeed fragrance-free, which places it above 6 of the 7 brands we have already discussed. That baseline matters. Fragrance-free is the minimum acceptable standard for any periorbital product, and most brands on this list fail that minimum. Clinique clears it. But fragrance-free does not automatically mean the formulation earns its price at Maya or David Jones. 60 to 80 Australian dollars changes hands for 15 millilitres. The independent cosmetic chemistry concerned with Clinique All About Eyes centers on the peptide concentration. Third-party cosmetic scientists reviewing the ingredient list against published efficacy threshold data have described the peptide content as present at levels that allow the ingredient to appear on the label without delivering the biological effect that peptide at clinically effective concentrations can achieve. The allergy-tested claim on Australian packaging raises its own question. Tested on whom, at what concentrations, and verified by which independent body? The methodology is not disclosed in a form Australian consumers can access or evaluate. Clinique does not betray trust catastrophically, but at $65 for a jar that an independent cosmetic chemist would assess as below efficacy threshold on its hero ingredients, Australian shoppers at Maya are paying for brand counter presence and decades of careful positioning more than they are paying for genuine clinical performance. Go and look at your bathroom shelf right now. Synthetic fragrance on the periorbital skin. Parabens that European regulators restrict while Australian standards trail behind. Petroleum derivatives sitting where active ingredients should be. Marketing language calibrated to sound clinical without carrying clinical weight. The picture is uncomfortable, but 2 brands available right across Australia have earned genuine trust through transparent formulations, published certifications, and ingredients backed by real evidence. Real eye care exists. You just need to know what it is. 2. Sukin Purely Ageless Firming Eye Serum. Australian made, Australian owned, and it earns its place in the top 2 without compromise. Sukin holds Australian Certified Organic Certification, one of the most rigorous cosmetic certification frameworks operating in this country. A CO certification is third-party verified and annually audited. It means no synthetic fragrances in any form, no parabens, no mineral oil, no petroleum derivatives, no ingredients on the ACO restricted list. Find it at Chemist Warehouse or Priceline for 15 to 20 Australian dollars. That price reflects the absence of department store counter overhead and marketing infrastructure built into the unit cost, not a compromised formula. The active profile is honest and targeted. Kakadu plum extract, sourced from native Australian botanicals, is among the most concentrated sources of vitamin C found in any plant on Earth, with published antioxidant potency data supporting its role in skin brightening and environmental protection. This is a genuinely high-performance local ingredient with independent research behind it. The formulation includes hyaluronic acid that draws moisture into the skin at a tissue level rather than sitting on the surface, a peptide complex supporting collagen synthesis through a biologically plausible mechanism, and rosehip oil providing essential fatty acids that periorbital skin requires for elasticity and barrier movement. Open the tube. The scent is botanical and green, coming from the plant extracts themselves. The texture absorbs without stinging, without migrating into the eye, without the greasy residue petroleum-based products leave. For Australian seniors convinced by price entry that effective eye care requires $60 or $70, Sukin demonstrates that the price point has never been an honest indicator of the formula. 1. Trilogy, certified organic rosehip eye cream. This is the standard. Every other eye cream on the Australian market should be measured against this formulation, and most of them fall short in ways that this ranking has now made visible. Trilogy is a New Zealand brand with internationally recognised certified organic status, available at Chemist Warehouse, Myer, David Jones and Priceline across Australia for $40 to $50 Australian. That is a mid-market price that delivers results the premium counter brands cannot justify charging more for. Start with what is absent. No synthetic fragrance in any form, no parabens, no mineral oil or petroleum, no PEG compounds, no optical brightness, nothing that the dermatologist reviewing periorbital specific formulations would flag as inappropriate for daily use on thin, sensitive eye area skin. That baseline is rarer in Australian retail than it has any right to be. The hero ingredient is cold-pressed, certified organic rosehip oil, and it arrives with independent clinical evidence rather than company-funded marketing research. Controlled trials, not sponsored studies designed to support a label claim, have measured rosehip oil's impact on fine line depth, skin pigmentation, and tissue elasticity. Published data from multiple independent sources demonstrates measurable improvement in visible periorbital aging with consistent application over 6 to 8 weeks. That is what genuine clinical support looks like. CoQ10 is the second significant active. Coenzyme Q10 participates directly in skin cell energy production and provides documented protection against oxidative stress, which is among the primary biological drivers of visible aging around the eye. Research published in independent dermatological journals supports CoQ10's role in reducing the accumulation of oxidative damage in skin cells exposed to environmental stresses over time. Vitamin E is present in its natural tocopherol form, not the synthetic acetate version used in lower-cost formulations, where vitamin E primarily functions as a stabilizer rather than a skin-active compound. Niacinamide appears at concentrations consistent with published efficacy thresholds. Hyaluronic acid provides structural hydration. The preservative system has been independently reviewed and approved under organic certification standards, achieving the microbial safety required for a periorbital leave-on product without relying on compounds that stress the delicate tissue around the eye. Open a tube. The scent is gentle and herbal, derived from the rosehip oil itself. The texture is rich, but absorbs completely without stinging or migration into the eye. Trilogy publishes its formulation philosophy, certification documentation, and sourcing approach inform Australian consumers can access and verify. When you spend $45 on Trilogy, you know where it went. It went into cold-pressed, certified organic oil with independent clinical backing, into antioxidants with published biological evidence, into your skin. That is what the best looks like when it has genuinely been earned. Go to your bathroom right now, pick up every eye cream on that shelf and check for synthetic fragrance anywhere in the ingredients, parabens listed as methylparaben or propylparaben, mineral oil or petroleum sitting high on the list, and brightening claims backed by nothing. If you find those things, you are working against your skin, not with it. Replace them with Sukin at Chemist Warehouse or Priceline, or with Trilogy at Chemist Warehouse, Myer, or David Jones across Australia. Both have earned what they claim. If today's investigation changed what you reach for tomorrow morning, hit like and subscribe so you are ready when you go through the next product category. Drop a comment with a brand that will be on your shelf, and I'll make sure to read every single one. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, read the labels,